Hey everybody, it's Mr. Delusive with the weekly Lords of Delusia Devblog. This week I'm showing you through the code what I've been working on instead of through the gameplay. One of the reasons is, because it's not building at the moment. And just because of what I was doing yesterday and Saturday. So I've been transitioning the local instances of objects. Like here we've got in the dock screen, the marketplace, the ship market, everything, which originally was being, so originally had it like this, so market equals to new market, and it was the same for all them, for all these objects here, and what that meant was the dock screen, say, was creating a new instance of these classes. So let's say market, right? Actually, I'll show you CargoBay because that's got a lot more. So it was creating a new instance of CargoBay, and then in this we had it's still there, I've got to comment that out, but the CargoBay would then create new instances of things that already were being created in dock screen. So it was a lot of doubling up in code. So what I've been doing is moving everything to the LoadManager, including the sounds, here as well. This was what I started last week. I had the local instance still there, but defined it as the LoadManager instance. I've since as well changed that to now everything points to the LoadManager instances of those objects. So they still get loaded and unloaded. So here, per screen transition, it still gets unloaded, but it's not creating multiple. I mean, items is the best example, and loot. So here you can see the dock screen was creating loot, the CargoBay was creating loot, there was, what else? Construction Bay, I think, was creating an instance of loot and items. So yeah, see, there was a lot of doubling up. There's another one, and it wasn't necessary at all. It didn't have too much of an impact on performance, but it's just a mess. So the equivalent of what I've been doing this week is it's like you have a bunch of tangled wires and they're all still connected and working, but it's just a mess. So it's like neatening them all up and making them more easy to work with, and it's going to make it easy down the track anyway, because then I can add a lot more that I want. Like for example, one of the things I was didn't like from last week was that totals, which I've now removed. So where is it? Yeah, it's gone. And now what I'm doing, where's some code I can find? I'll just do a search. Load. I can't even remember what I named it. Hang on. So let's have a look. LoadManager. So now, firstly I've got this as well. So every single ship can have a ship cargo instead of just the active one. So I've got the current ship cargo list, and then I've got own ship cargo list. Yeah. Oh no. Something's. I've still got to work on that, I think. But yeah, instead now, that's going to be that way, as I explained anyway. So what was I looking for? Yeah, I've forgotten even what I'm looking for. The CargoBay material list. Hang on. So the items. Let's go. Where's the items? Yeah. So here, I already had this set up, the materials, and then it just was creating a material list. So I wasn't really utilizing this very well. I was doing it for gun list and engine list and everything, but I wasn't really doing it for the material list. I was using that internal total materials variable. So let's have a look. Let's do a search in here for material list. Yeah, here we go. So originally something like this was looping through, you know, for int I equals 0, I less than total materials dot count, or it wasn't even dot count, it was just total materials, and then that was, yeah, it was just a fixed number. But now it's based on the item list count. So here there's still some stuff I have to switch up, like this will be, instead of item, it's just the LoadManager instance.item. And I was going to do a string replace, but to do it on, say, item dot, will replace a lot of other things that I don't want it to replace. So I have to do it this long and painful way. So yeah, eventually, yeah, let's just do that. So here we've got these two. It's just the if and else statement here. So if you have the item, or if you don't, it does one of these two things, and this is the draw section. So it's, instead of all this, so if row is drawn 5 and total iron, total titanium, blah blah blah, I had to write this for all, which is a bit silly, but it's just how I did it. So instead of all that code, it's now, it's now just this, which is what it should have been. So just looping through that list, and then totally CargoBay, that's right. So now as well, the totals is handled in the material itself. So I added there's a new row to the material constructor. So here it takes in material name, sell price, buy price, description, and then at the end, and the image, and then at the end the amount owned. So it just automatically passes in 0, obviously, because you don't start with any. And then as you buy them through the cargo, the market, sorry, then it just increments that item's total number, and then that gets saved to the file. So that was the other thing I was working on heavily, and this is pretty much why nothing's building at the moment anyways, because I've made one big change to the save and loading. It pretty much dragged into the CargoBay and marketplace, and pretty much everything needs to be changed. And that's when I implemented the LoadManager, which also needs a lot of work. So I still haven't added all the sound instances yet. And when it was building yesterday, the sounds that were playing were wrong, and that's because the instance are not being handled properly now. So that's why I've moved them to the LoadManager now, and then I fixed it. So eventually I'll probably add a sound manager as well, and then have the sound manager be called within the LoadManager. So now I'll go on to the loading and saving. So I'll bring up one of the save files. So now, instead of saving to a CSV, it's just a save. It's just the extension, what do you call it? Yeah, the extension name change. It still saves text. It's just a layer of, I guess, no one can just double click. You just have to, it just looks neater, I guess. But the way it's saving now is kind of way more organized. So here it's just raw text at the moment, but that's because I've commented out the encryption. So eventually I'll add the encryption again, and that's this one here. Where is it? Where did I put it? I thought I moved it to the load data. as the old LoD game, well, the new old LoD game. That's the one I did last week and then changed it again. Here we go, file encryption. So here, you know, I've just I guess if anyone ever watches these videos and wants to, I guess, modify the save games, you now know the pass and the salt. So this, all it does is grabs the text from the file and then converts it into an MD5 hash, and then it outputs that back to a string, and then that gets saved instead of the raw text. And then it's the same for the decrypt, it just does the opposite. So I've just pretty much commented that out so that it's easier to work with anyway for me. And then I guess it'll stay like that until it goes into beta or something, and then if it needs to be encrypted again, I don't know. I might leave it unencrypted just so players can muck around. Then again, that'll lead to some game crashes. So I'll encrypt it back anyway then. So yeah, anyway, this is the save games now. So it's a lot neater in the save game. So all the player data is up here. We've got the name, the level, experience, skill points, credits, your mission data, and where you're at, the route, and so on. Your current ship. You've got, so as I was saying before, you've got now your ship cargo. So that was, yeah. So that other thing I was showing before wasn't, it was in actually the ship entity. I added, this is the, so this was another thing I've been cleaning right up. All this is gone because the ship class had a lot of loading handling as well, but I didn't want it in there anymore. So yeah, instead now the ships also have a list of ship cargo items, which is just strings, and then that gets converted to the actual items. So every ship will have this now, the ship cargo items, which means that, and that's where this is grabbing it from. So this is grabbing it from the Delsec interceptor, and the number of rows it creates, so here it's 40 from 0 to 39. It grabs it from the storage capacity of the ship, which is for the Delsec interceptor 40, for, let's say, the, where is it? Yeah, for the Needler it's only 10. So let's say you've got a second ship, owned ship, and because this save file doesn't have any, you would see like all this, and it would say owned one ship name is Delsec Needler, and then the data for what's equipped, and then it would generate 10 rows from 0 to 9 for the Needler. Or if you've got a second interceptor, it would do the, and you could even, I mean, if you know the structure, you could just, you know, copy. You know, it'd look like this. And ship one and so on. But yeah, and that's pretty much the reason why I'll be encrypting it so people can't do it, because not that I don't want them to do it, it's just if there's going to be mistakes in the save file text, it's going to crash the game, because I haven't really added much exception handling in the game just yet, and that'll probably be another thing I'll have to add. So that's pretty much that section there, which was changed. So yeah, other than that, here the material list you can see also has its own section, which is grabbing from that new material row. So it's just outputting the name and then the material total amount. And then if, like in this save game, I don't have any extra items, So whatever's, say I've got 10 engines in the cargo bay, you just see the list of names. So I guess one of the guns, let's say you'd have a poor man's cobalt last wave of power. You know, this all you'd see like a string, and then under that would be another one, and so on. So all that would do is it'd have the string, because at the moment as well, how the suffixes and prefixes work, it just reads the string of the name of the weapon, or engine or whatever. So it has the base item, let's say the Hydrogen Viper and MG. So we have that, and then it gets a prefix and a suffix assigned. So I think I put that in loop. Where is it? I haven't touched that in a little bit, so can't remember where I put it. Yeah. So here's just the list of prefixes and suffixes that I have, and then it defines it into the rarity. So crap prefix and suffix turns it to grey colour. Basic is white. Advanced is green. Rare blue, and legendary purple. Pretty stock standard, I think, for ARPGs or whatever games use. There was an area, I think it's in gun actually. So in the gun, no wait, where am I at? Yeah, so this is where the prefixes and suffixes, they actually change the effect of what the gun is doing. So let's say, and all it's doing is just reading that the name of the weapon contains this. So let's say we have faulty in the gun string. So the load file will grab all this data in owned guns, assign it to the list of owned weapons in the cargo bay, and then let's say that gets equipped when that's equipped in the current ship. So equipped gun, I can't explain this well, but then it's equipped, so it becomes the current ship's equipped gun. So when that equipped gun fires, we see not that, but when the gun fires anyway, it's in player, I think. Yeah, and another thing I haven't touched for a while. So where is it? So here you see where I've got the controller support. Certain conditions for your ship, but that's also for enemies. Yeah, anyway, I can't find it. Oh yeah, hang on. If not disabled firing. Oh, that's just for aim. Yeah, anyway. The idea is pretty much, yeah, so the gun has that, if I can find it again. So the gun has the name faulty. I'll just go here to show you where it gets used. Yeah. So here it looks for the gun first. Alright, so let's say the equipped gun is charge combat burst. You fire it. Firing rate's 3, damage is 2. And then it assigns the effects from the prefixes and suffixes, which might change it to, let's say it has weak, then it just grabs the damage and times it by 2, divided by 3, so you're only getting 66% of the damage. So that's all that one is. Faulty is just cuts the damage in half, but increases the firing rate by 20%. Oh, that's unnecessary. was actually cutting in half and then cutting it further 66%. So it was actually like, yeah, 2/3 of 50%. Here, small just shrinks the bullet scale. Firing rate is a bit quicker, so 10% quicker, and 10% less damage. So yeah, as you can see, there's a lot I haven't done. There's the basic ones, there's advanced, some which, you know, electric then adds the electric ability, which then also causes less damage to armor but more damage to shields. So these are just some of the effects anyway. So yeah, you know. So let's say we have this as well, and that would actually work. I could save that and then run the game, but it's not running at the moment, and that would appear in the list of CargoBay items. And then I could even switch it and equip it, but there's still a lot to, even if it was building the game at the moment, there's still a lot to fix because it was such a big change. I'm actually ahead of where I thought for this week because it didn't go as bad as I thought. But yeah, there's still a lot of things that are null reference exceptions and so on. So that's pretty much the main stuff. Then yeah, we've got the planetary data. Originally it was in 2 files, now it's in the 1. So all that is it grabs it the same. Instead of saving the entire list of planets, it just saves every planet you've interacted with at least once. So for this save game, it's only been Delusia 2, and they don't have any of the planetary items at all. So yeah, that's some of the core stuff that's been done this week. I'm hoping by next Monday I'll have all of it changed, but there was also some other stuff I was gonna switch. Yeah, I can't remember. But yeah, there's still a lot to go through. Once it's built, then all this needs to be handled when you deposit all, and so because of the change, it's just, I know it's gonna break. But yeah, at the moment I've still got to fix all these current errors, which is just the name changes. And the thing is, I was thinking to keep it just as, you know, entity, CargoBay, blah blah blah, like that, and all I would have had to do is what I did up here. Yeah. But then it's just with the loading and unloading, I didn't really want it to happen in the screens anymore. I'd rather the loading and unloading happened in the LoadManager. It's just neater anyway, instead of, yeah, that's being commented. So at the moment there's a lot of stuff that's commented out, but yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to go through. Yes, sorry I couldn't show the gameplay this week. I mean, there's not much difference anyway. I wasn't adding new features, I was just pretty much stripping down the old features and making them more easier to work with. So with this anyway, so like that's one example. With the LoadManager and materials changes now, I can easily add more materials, which is what I wanted to do. It's just the way it was set up made it almost impossible to create new materials, or made it a real pain in the ass. But at least this way, all I'd have to do is add the material here and then add it to the material list, and that's it. Same with the guns, which was already set up anyway, engines and that, planetary modules, specials. Yeah, I haven't done much work with the engine shield specials yet, but that'll be just as easy as the guns, and then they'll get prefixes and suffixes as well, and yeah, and that'll be that. So yeah, I guess I'll leave the video at that. If there's stuff I forgot, I'll just go into next week. Yeah, but hopefully next week I'll have it all back to building and running properly without any null exceptions or index overflows. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope this one was interesting, showing the code a bit. See ya.